In this video, I'm going to show you how to play Hate to Say I Told You So by the Hives. So pick up your guitar, let's get started. Right, so basically we've got one main riff to look into to learn pretty much the whole song. So the main riff goes like this. Right, so the first thing we need to look at is the 4 chords we need in order to play that riff. The first chord we need is a D5, so a D power chord. What I'm going to do is have my index finger on fret number 10 on the low E string, and then we need to play the A and D strings on fret number 12. Just these 3 notes. Now, the way I do it is with my pinky flat on these 2 frets, but you could definitely use fingers 3 and 4. And we want to mute the rest of the strings we've got. So what I do is I rest my index finger on these other strings. So we've got, so that's the first chord. Now, the second shape we need is exactly the same as this one. It's a different chord, but the same shape. We need a C5. So what we do is we take this and we move it up that direction 2 frets, fret number 8 with the index finger. That's now a C5. Again, I play that with my pinky on the A and D strings, but you could definitely do that this way. Next chord is F5, and it's the same hand position, the same shape, but down that direction, down the string. So we drop everything down here, and we now need to mute the low E string. Be careful with this one. Also, we're playing the note F. The root note of that chord is F, and the low E string with that F would sound pretty bad. Like if I play these 2 together, you would hear that together. So just be very careful with that. To mute that low E string, what I do is I have my index finger slightly touching it, enough to just mute it. So that way I can strum everything and you just hear the F5. And the last chord we need is a B flat 5. Again, the same position as the first 2 chords we've seen, but now on fret number 6. So all together we've got D5, C5, F5, and B flat 5. So that's the 4 chords we need to play pretty much the whole riff. The second step is to look into the rhythm of it. Now, the first thing you should do is to keep your right hand moving down on all the 8th notes. So you should go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 forever. You want to do that forever. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And the reason I'm saying that is because the right hand is constantly not only moving down on this song, but also hitting the strings. And then it's up to your left hand to fret the chord when it needs to be heard. So if I show you, I keep the right hand moving like that engine running, and you'll see that my left hand is now going to play the chord, but the right hand keeps on strumming. So let's look at that. What I'm doing is down and down, the first 2 downstrokes on the C5, followed by the next downstroke with open strings. So it goes 1 and 2, which I know sounds a bit odd right now because you've got these 2 weird open strings, but within the pace of the song and within the context, you'll see that not only sounds cool, but it's going to help you with the transitions onto the next chord. So as I'm playing these 2 open strings, I'm now going to move my hand to the next chord, which is that C5. So we've got 1 and 2, and then and 3 and on that C5. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And beat number 4, so the next downstroke, open strings again. Let's do that first bar again together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So if I just count the downstroke you're strumming on each chord, it would go down, 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 just to help you know when to play the chords. Because again, the right hand's moving and we're just literally putting the shape on when we want to hear the chord. So far we've got, so we're on the end of beat number 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now the end of beat number 4, I'm going to now move down to that F5 and I'm going to play it 3 times, so 3 downstrokes. So far we've got, if I count along, it would go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. One more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. Next beat is beat number 2, next downstroke. I'm going to play the open strings again. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Again, it sounds very messy if I do it this way, but you'll see within the context, it's going to sound great. And then we move down to the final shape of the chord progression, which is B flat. And we're going to play it 4 times, so 4 downstrokes. So putting everything together, we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Right, after that beat number 4, we still have 1 downstroke to play. You could play just open strings like we've always done. So 1 and 2 and 3 and... And this is going to help you jump back to the beginning of the riff. So... And you see how my left hand is already right above that D5 we're going to start with. Let's slow down the whole thing and you'll see how I'm using the open strings we're strumming to help me move on to the next chord so it sounds fluid. See, especially that last one from B flat back to D, it's a big jump. So using the open string you're hearing to jump to D is really useful. Now, something they do on the intro is that instead of playing after that last chord we're playing, instead of just playing the open string, they go down up. So it would go. So what I'm doing here is, again, the right hand keeps on moving, you know the drill. But instead of playing the open strings, I'm going to keep my left hand flat on the strings to choke them, to mute them. And I'm going to play that next downstroke, which is the end of 4, and the of beat number 4. So if I played just that last chord, it would go and 3 and 4 and 1. One more time. And 3 and 4 and 1. I'll play that together with the riff. Yes, it just adds a bit of dynamic to the whole riff. I'll show you the 2 options. You can definitely play the 2 of them. So the first one, so just using the open strings to jump from that B flat back to D. And the second one, so now muted strums, and we add that down and up as muted strums at the end of beat number 4. Now, again, I'm a little bit slower right now than the speed of the song. If we push that to the actual speed of the song, sort of, it would sound something like this. And you see how now the open strings are not choking anymore. They're just transition bits that we play between the chords. Right, so that's the main riff of the song, and this is basically the verse and the chorus. Let's move on to the little transition parts we've got. So the first transition part we've got is what leads into the verse. And it's like a weird swirly effect. It sounds like a synth. Live, they do play it with a guitar with a phaser on. And it's literally just that D5 we started from, but they would strum it from very quiet, and that effect is always on, to quite hard. So it would go something like this. So that's the bit I'm talking about. Now, what I'm doing here is D5, and I'm strumming it only with downstrokes, but this time for 4 bars. So that means you're going to have to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and last 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you see, I'm trying to just raise the volume and the intensity of my strumming hand on that last chord, just to bring the dynamics up. So let's put like one riff together followed by that D5 so you know where we are. So the riff again. Right, and then we get into the actual song where they start singing. The second thing we've got is a G5 that is played. So G5, I would play it on fret number 3. Again, I'm using my pinky to play the A and D strings on fret number 5. But it's the same shape we've played all the way through the song. Now, you could, again, as always, use fingers 3 and 4, it's more than fine. Now, that G5, you would hear it for 2 bars on the pre-chorus. It would go something like this. And then the chorus. So again, just downstrokes, keep the right hand moving, that's the trick. And the second time you would hear that G5 on is at the end of the chorus. So the chorus starts with basically 2 riffs, so it would go. And then G. And back. So what I'm doing here is at the end of the chorus, holding on to that G5, and I'm playing it for 3 full bars. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then I'm just gonna hit beat number 1 and mute everything. So if I do that again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then we start. So that's pretty much it. That's the whole structure of the song. I think what's tricky about this song is definitely the first part, the riff, more than that G5 over there. The G is more like something you can rest upon a little bit, but make sure you hit that beat number 1 of the last bar at the end of the chorus, right? And you just keep it dry. So to mute that G5, what I do is I just keep my fingers in the shape of that G5, but I just relax everything. So you see that my left hand is barely moving. You can barely see it. The difference is me pressing down here, so you would hear the chord. Sounds like a G minor right now, I'm pressing too hard. And then if I release the tension, it's muted because my fingers are still on the same strings, but we're muting it. So again, this is super useful when you go 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1. You see, keeping it clean. The other thing I do is with my right hand at the end of that transition back into the verse, I would use my right hand to just make sure the strings are completely muted. So not only the left hand is muting the strings, the right hand comes to just help a little bit. So you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1. And the right hand is muting the strings as well as the left hand. Right, so that's it for the song. Carry on with it, have fun with it. It's a great song if you want to work on your strumming hand. It can be a bit challenging at first because it's just downstrokes and it's quick. But it's a great way to just get that going and to push yourself into the strumming faster. One little trick before I leave you to it. Notice that if I play at pretty much the full speed, I don't know the full speed of the song, I don't know what it is, but what seems to be like the full speed of the song. Notice my wrist is moving a lot. If I go... Right, you see how loose the wrist of the right hand is. I'm not doing this. Because otherwise, if I do that for like, I don't know, 3 takes, I'd be knackered. So make sure you keep the wrist loose. The movement comes from the wrist and breathe and make sure everything is loose. Get on with it and I'll see you on the next video.